What would happen if a Livoton encountered a group of Megalodons? A massive Megalodon, half its body bitten off, was slowly sinking to the ocean floor. The attacker was another ocean titan, the Livoton. This colossal creature lived around 10 million years ago, grew up to 50 feet long, and weighed up to 50 tons. It was one of the ocean's top predators. But in these waters, there was an even bigger threat, the largest shark to ever exist, the Megalodon. A few days earlier, two young Megalodons were scouring the seabed for food, unaware of the danger closing in on them. Suddenly, a massive Livoton appeared behind them. The two young sharks immediately fled for their lives. At that moment, a larger, growing Megalodon rushed forward to protect them. But as soon as it got close, the Livoton latched onto its abdomen, crushing its bones instantly. Within 2 minutes, the young Megalodon was dead, swallowed by the whale's jaws. However, the Livoton didn't realize that it was about to face even worse revenge. A few hours later, the two escaping Megalodons returned, this time with several adult Megalodons. Seeing their fallen comrade, all the Megalodons were furious and vowed to avenge their dead friend. They set off in pursuit of the fleeing Livoton. At first, the Livoton wasn't worried, thinking the young Megalodons weren't much of a threat. But when it saw two adult Megalodons trailing behind, it realized it needed to escape quickly. The Livoton dived into deeper waters, but its massive size slowed it down, and the Megalodons were much faster. No matter how hard it tried, it couldn't create any distance between them. Eventually, the Livoton was cornered and had no choice but to turn back and fight. The two sides clashed violently. One Megalodon, roughly the size of the Livoton itself, was the first to strike. But just as it opened its mouth to bite, the Livoton snapped its jaws around the shark's head, knocking it down in an instant. In the chaos, the Livoton tried to dive deeper into the ocean, but then an even larger Megalodon came at it from the side, biting deep into the whale's abdomen. Blood quickly began to spread through the water. The Megalodon's bite force reached an incredible 20 tons, and within seconds, the Livoton, mortally wounded, started sinking. The Livoton's massive corpse became the Megalodon's feast. But this battle wasn't over. 3 days later, the Livoton's group found its body, and the flames of anger and vengeance reignited within the whale pod. A much fiercer showdown was about to unfold. Behind a massive sea turtle, a T-Rex silently appeared. Its heavy footsteps sent the turtle into a panic, but it wasn't the target. The real prize was another sea turtle stranded on the beach. Already dead, its rotting scent filled the air. To the hungry T-Rex, such a large prey was an extraordinary feast. It lowered its head and pressed forcefully against the hard shell, trying to flip the turtle over. Not far away, 4 young T-Rex hatchlings watched excitedly, cheering for their father. As the top predator on land, the T-Rex possessed an incredible bite force, over 5 tons of power, enough to effortlessly crack the turtle's shell and devour its innards. The hatchlings eagerly wanted a taste, but the father showed no mercy, driving them away. In his view, young T-Rexes must learn to hunt independently from an early age, rather than relying on handouts. The hatchlings circled the massive turtle, only to discover that with their current strength, they couldn't even pierce its tough exterior. As night fell, a new opportunity quietly emerged. On the beach, countless newly hatched baby turtles broke free from their shells, scrambling desperately toward the sea. For the young T-Rex, it was the perfect hunting training. They sprang into action, some chasing after fleeing turtles, others awkwardly pinning prey with their tiny claws. Through repeated chases and attempts, the hatchlings honed their hunting instincts. These early experiences would shape their survival skills in the years to come. It takes at least 15 years for a T-Rex to truly reach adulthood. During this long journey, they must master every survival skill. For one day, they will be driven away by their father, setting out alone to carve their place in the world as the next ruler of the land. A group of Portaosaurus was relentlessly hunting young Portaosaurus. The mother dinosaur, keenly aware of her baby's terrified cries, let out an angry roar and charged at the predators to drive them away. However, since these predators relied on hunting for survival, they began preparing to take on the adult Portaosaurus. As the two sides locked in a standoff, the massive leader of the Portaosaurus appeared, attempting to scare off the opponent with a deafening roar so it could claim the prey. But the roar didn't send the Portaosaurus running. Instead, it gave the baby a chance to escape into the forest. At this point, a fierce battle was unavoidable. The mother's protective instincts fully awakened the brutal killer instincts of the dinosaur. Without hesitation, she turned and used her powerful tail as a weapon to strike at the predators, who quickly retaliated. In the struggle, the mother tried to get back on her feet, but after several attempts, she couldn't break free from the savage bite of the Portaosaurus. Finally, she managed to stand, lowering her neck. But with limited vision, she broke free from the attacker's grip, only to realize she was standing on the edge of a cliff. But the battle was far from over. Both sides continued fighting fiercely. The mother swung her tail with all her might, using the momentum of her massive body to knock the Portaosaurus that had jumped onto her back off the cliff. Both dinosaurs plummeted down together, and the height of the cliff sealed their fate. Neither would survive. Now the baby dinosaurs were safely deep in the forest, and the mother, in her determination to ensure their survival, sacrificed her own life. This was an Megalodon, weighing over 80 tons, and the eldest of its herd. Now nearly 100 years old, almost half of the other dinosaurs in the group were its direct descendants. But judging by its current state, the old giant had reached the very end of its life. Within a couple of days, it could no longer stand, and its massive body slowly collapsed. Its corpse quickly drew the attention of predators. The Allosaurus, highly sensitive to scent, had hoped this behemoth could provide them with a meal lasting 2.5 years. But with skin 8 centimeters thick, they found their teeth useless, and several Allosaurus grew increasingly frustrated. Then, a hungry Tyrannosaurus Rex arrived. arrived. To it, no creature was too tough to bite. Its 15-centimeter-long serrated teeth easily pierced the thick hide, also giving smaller Allosaurus a chance to scavenge through the openings. But if the T-Rex noticed, they had to flee immediately, or their own 2 pounds of meat wouldn't even fill its teeth. Even the T-Rex only bullied the carcass briefly. After all, such a massive body would inevitably attract even stronger predators. Soon, a Quetzalcoatlus appeared, the largest member of its pterosaur family. Though normally soaring in the sky, it was a formidable match for an adult T-Rex. Its sharp, sturdy beak forced the T-Rex to stay cautious. As tensions peaked, another Quetzalcoatlus joined the fray, instantly tipping the balance. The 2 pterosaurs began to harass the T-Rex from above, their aerial advantage making their attacks nearly impossible to dodge, while the T-Rex's teeth could not reach them. Left with no choice, the T-Rex abandoned the feast. In the end, the enormous carcass was claimed by the 2 pterosaurs. Yet the laws of nature never change. No matter who claims a meal, a new predator is always just around the corner. A she-wolf became pregnant with the Wolf King's pups, but was ruthlessly abandoned by her pack. Since she was not the alpha female, the news of her carrying the Wolf King's cubs was unacceptable in this pack, which followed strict monogamy rules. To make matters worse, the true alpha female was also pregnant. Eventually, with the Wolf King's tacit approval, Mary, the she-wolf, was driven out of the pack. Pregnant and without the protection of the pack, Mary found it extremely difficult to forage for food on the predator-filled island. She was forced to scavenge what remains of other predators' meals on the beach. Meanwhile, the alpha female, under the Wolf King's protection, had already found a hidden tree hollow to give birth in. She had no worries about food, as the Wolf King and the pack brought it back from their hunts every day. Mary's situation was much worse. She was still exposed to the harsh elements, unable to find a suitable place to give birth. After a storm, Mary arrived early at the shore, hoping to find some animal remains washed up by the waves. Soon, her sharp nose detected a dead sea otter, likely leftover from another predator's meal. Mary didn't hesitate. She began devouring the fresh meat. After all, it had been so long since she had tasted anything this fresh. However, after just a few bites, the owner of the prey appeared, the Wolf King. Despite Mary still carrying his pups, the Wolf King showed no mercy. He intended to take the remaining food back to the alpha female. Mary, reluctantly, picked up a small piece of meat and quietly left. 3 months later, the alpha female successfully gave birth to 2 pups. Once she ensured the area was safe, she ventured out of the tree hollow with her little ones for the first time. The alpha female had to constantly watch over them, while her mate, the Wolf King, continued to bring back food every day. Meanwhile, Mary also gave birth to her pups, but her life was far different. To find food, she often left her pups in the den and ventured out alone. Hunting on her own was incredibly difficult, and Mary knew it. Today, she had spent the entire day without finding food. If this continued, both she and her newborns would face starvation. In her despair, Mary made a bold decision. She would head towards the tree hollow where the alpha female lived. Typically, wild sea wolves would quietly attack rival dens to steal food and even eat their enemies' pups. Right now, the alpha female's pups were playing outside the den, completely unaware that danger was near. Mary carefully approached the entrance, taking every step cautiously, fearing that the alpha female might detect her.